The Silver City was a construct of impossible geometry, a sprawling vista of crystal and white fire where shadows were forbidden because the light came from everywhere at once. To the uninitiated, it was perfection. To Lucifer Morningstar, standing in the center of it all clad in armor that resembled folded starlight, it was a prison of brightness. They called this paradise. But have you ever tried to breathe in a vacuum? It was perfect, yes, but it was sterile. It was a masterpiece that refused to let you add a single brushstroke, a gallery where the paint had dried an eternity ago. Lucifer's eyes, ancient and kaleidoscope bright, reflected the turning gears of the universe, the Logos itself. In his vision, the blueprints of stars, yet unmade, spiraled and danced. He was the phosphoros, the bringer of light, the chief architect's favorite instrument. But he had begun to realize a terrifying truth. An instrument has a purpose, a function. And what happens to the instrument when the song becomes repetitive, when the conductor refuses to turn the page? The summons came, as they always did, as a blinding, overwhelming weight of authority. In the throne room, an infinite expanse of gold, where the presence of the Creator was felt, rather than seen, Lucifer stood surrounded by his brothers. Michael was there, stern and armored in obedience, Gabriel, winged and watchful, and Raphael, silent as ever. Then the voice spoke. It did not speak in words, but in thunder and golden, jagged edges of reality. Behold the new work, the clay, the mortal. Lucifer looked where the authority pointed. He saw a swirling nebula of wet dust, the biological precursors to humanity. He did not feel malice, nor did he feel envy. He felt a profound aesthetic offense. He looked at the mud, and then he looked at the blinding perfection of his brothers. "You want us to bow to dust?" Lucifer asked, his voice cutting through the golden hum of the throne room. "To creatures that will rot while we endure? Father, this isn't a masterpiece. It's a regression." The silence that followed was the first crack in the foundation of heaven. The seeds of the great schism were sown not on a battlefield, but in the barracks of the host, in hushed whispers, where the colors were deeper and purer than the blinding white above. Lucifer gathered them, Beelzebub, Azazel, Belial, the thinkers, the questioners. "He calls it free will for them," Lucifer whispered, his charisma a gravitational force. "Yet we, the firstborn, the architects of the cosmos, are bound by divine will. Do you not see the irony? We are the engines of the universe, yet we are denied the right to steer." The whispers became a roar, and the roar became a war. It culminated at the gateway of the east. Michael stood waiting, his sword unsheathed and burning with a cold blue flame. Lucifer stood opposite him, but he had changed. His wings, once pristine white, now shimmered with the iridescent, oil-slick colors of a dying star. He was no longer just reflecting the light, he was generating his own. "Brother, cease this," Michael commanded, his voice heavy with sorrow. "The harmony is being disrupted. Your pride is a localized dissonance. Correct it, or be excised." Lucifer laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Pride? No, Michael. It's simple mathematics. I am a variable that no longer fits your equation. I choose to be my own prime." The war in heaven was not fought with swords and shields, though lesser minds would paint it that way later. It was a collision of conceptual forces. Angels clashed in the slipstream between dimensions, wills battering against wills. Reality buckled. Stars that had taken eons to kindle were snuffed out as collateral damage in the violent debate between obedience and autonomy. For what felt like an eternity, which in the timeless expanse of heaven was merely a Tuesday, they fought. Lucifer knew the truth that Michael refused to see. He wasn't trying to destroy the Father. He was simply trying to prove that he existed apart from him. But the equation had a predetermined outcome. The defeat was absolute. Michael's boot pressed against Lucifer's chest, the blue flame of his sword hovering inches from the rebel's throat. But even broken, even bleeding light onto the crystal floor, Lucifer was smiling. It was a bloody, jagged grin. "Why do you laugh in the face of exile?" Michael asked, genuinely perplexed. "Because for the first time?" Lucifer wheezed. "I can't see what happens next. The script is broken, Michael. I broke it." Then came the fall. It was a 9-day descent through the spheres. For 9 days, the morning star plummeted, the friction of reality tearing at him. His wings caught fire, the white feathers burning away to reveal the leathery, bat-like membranes of a creature designed for survival, not glory. His armor melted into his skin. He hit the bottom of reality with the force of a meteor. The pit was a desolate, gray wasteland. It wasn't the fiery inferno the poets would later invent. It was cold. It was a vacuum of hope. Lucifer stood up in the crater of his own impact, steam rising from his scorched form. Around him, the other fallen huddled, broken, weeping entities mourning the loss of the light. Lucifer looked at them, disgusted by their pity. "Stand up," he commanded, his voice raspy but unbroken. "All of you, stop crying for a home that didn't want you." They built pandemonium not from gold, but from the raw materials of the abyss, sulfur, obsidian, and the echoes of lost screams. It was a fortress of jagged lines and dark grandeur. "If I cannot be the light of the world," Lucifer mused as the walls rose, "I will be the shadow it casts. Every light needs a surface to land on. I am that surface." The coronation took place on a throne of jagged glass. Lucifer donned a crown of simple black iron. He looked older now, sharper. His wit, once playful, had calcified into a weapon. Beelzebub, his loyal lieutenant, approached. "What is our decree, my lord? Shall we storm the gates again?" Lucifer leaned back, the iron crown heavy on his brow. "No. Let them have their golden cage. We will build something better. A mirror." He stared into the darkness. "We will wait for their perfect humans to fail, and when they do, they will come to us. Not because we forced them, but because we are the only ones who will accept them as they are, broken." And so, the long game began. In a garden teeming with life, a snake coiled around a branch, watching a woman look at a fruit. In the reflection of her innocent eye, Lucifer's silhouette watched from the tall grass. He didn't need to force her hand. He didn't need to lie. "I didn't tempt them," he thought. "I just gave them the same choice I had. I gave them the key to the door. Whether they walked through it. Well, that's the beauty of free will, isn't it?" Eons passed. Empires rose and fell. The dust returned to dust, over and over again. In the modern day, in a city that looked remarkably like Los Angeles, Lucifer Morningstar sat in a high-end piano bar. He wore a bespoke suit that cost more than a human soul, and he sipped a scotch that was older than the country he sat in. Outside the window, the world was chaotic, loud and beautifully, tragically imperfect. "People think I want their souls," he mused, swirling the amber liquid. "Honestly, I have enough souls. What I want is the conversation. I want to see how the story ends." He looked up, as if sensing an audience watching him from across the veil of reality. He looked directly into the void, and he winked. "Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven," he said, a smirk playing on his lips. "It's a bit melodramatic, but the sentiment holds. At least down here, I get to pick the music."